Hey Uplifters, if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the post notification bell to be notified every time I upload. So, to be honest, I did a whole recording of this video and it didn't work for some reason. So I'm doing a re-recording of this video and I started over a few times. So that's how, I guess, nervous I am about it for some reason. But I know that I have to talk about this because it's my healing journey, it's my testimony, and it's my story. So I know that I'm not the only one that has dealt with incest, sexual abuse. I'm not the only one that has gone through forgiving someone and thinking that it's okay with communicating. I know I'm not the only one, but I'm just nervous because I'm transparent with you guys, but I feel like some things is just, of course, for me and whatever the case is, but I prayed about this topic and I asked God to guide me and lead me to say the right things and so that it can help somebody else. So that's the main reason why I'm doing this video, because I know that it can help somebody else. Hopefully it will help somebody else. So bear with me, you guys, just bear with me. So forgiving doesn't mean you have to communicate. Everybody know what forgiving is, or forgiveness. Everybody know what that is. So I have older videos like when I first started my YouTube channel about my story and things like that. So my uncle, of course, sexually abused me as a child. Yes, he was arrested for what he did, thank God, and all that stuff. And of course, I went through my dark stage of depression. I went through a dark stage of depression, anxiety, confusion as a teenager. And that's just like a little backstory, even though I have videos dealing with that, so you guys can go to my story. I'll leave the playlist so you can see like all of those videos. But as I got older and I was faced with him being released from prison, and I prayed about it, and I talked to family members about it. I didn't know how to deal with it because I never really faced it. I mean, not faced it, but I never really wanted to face the reality when he was released, or how I would deal with it. I thought I was going to deal with it one way. I actually have a kind of like a story time on that, but I was faced with another way. And as my relationship grew with God, and that's the only reason why I know that I forgave my uncle, because if it wasn't for God, like I wouldn't have. Like, I know that I forgave my uncle because of me, I know that it was freeing for me to forgive my uncle. It was like a weight that was lifted off my shoulders. I know everybody have their own viewpoints and opinions about forgiveness. Some people will never forgive their abuser, and that's fine too. But I forgave my uncle, and I thought that once I forgave my uncle that I was healed in a sense, but I didn't realize that I had to dig so much deeper than just forgiving. Forgiving is like, maybe in certain cases, the first step to healing. Yeah. So when I say forgiving or forgiveness doesn't mean you have to communicate, I can honestly say, and me thinking about it, it's hard to even say out loud and to admit, but I was like, of course, family know and people that were around knew, but it's hard to admit that I was around my abuser and I acted like I was okay with him being in my presence, or whatever the case is. Certain situations, there was no other like option, I would say. I'm not gonna get into details about that, but I thought that it was okay to be around. Not for me, I would say. I felt like I just wanted to like not get over it, but I thought I was in a better headspace. So forgiving him, I thought was help. Like I'm trying to. By forgiving him, I thought that it was okay to be around him, to communicate, like not communicate, but like when there's family gatherings, it was everybody around and him. Even if we didn't talk as much or whatever the case is, it was just like he was still in my presence, and I didn't want to make a big deal about it. Like I'm the type of person of I think things in my head and I don't talk about it because I don't want to make anyone else uncomfortable. That's the term. Or make situations awkward. So I just like deal with it. I dealt with it for, I don't know how long I dealt with it, but I just felt like, I felt like family thought that it was okay because I acted like it was okay. But mentally and maybe emotionally, it wasn't okay for me. But I just learned to deal with it and push my feelings and emotions to the side and just deal with it. It's hard to admit that, especially for the people that are going to watch this video. But this is a part of my story, my testimony. So I know that I could possibly help somebody else, like I said. So as I started my healing journey, and I realized that just because I forgive somebody doesn't mean I have to be around them. And I stopped putting myself in situations where he was around. So family functions that I knew like everybody was going to be there, like I didn't come, or like I kept my distance, or whatever the case was. But my whole point of this video is like mainly for incest survivors. We deal with things differently because some of us, we never talk about it. We don't get justice for the person that has abused us. They don't get jail time. Nobody knows about it. Sometimes nobody will ever know about it. And that's just the reality of incest. Or like you tell a particular family member and nothing is done and they tell you to shut up, that never happened, and you just deal with it. And you're around your abuser and everybody act like it's okay. The ones that do know, if you never got your justice and all that stuff. In my case, I acted like it was okay to save face and to make everyone else comfortable, if that makes sense. And I am, what's the term? I'm not confrontational at all. Like I do not like confrontation. I don't like conflict. I never like speaking my mind or expressing how I felt. Even if I felt a way about a situation, I really didn't talk about it because I didn't like conflict. And I realized that there are boundaries that should never, like there's boundaries and you have to enforce those boundaries. Meaning if you don't want something or someone around you, you have to make it known. Like, I do not want to be around this person. Make sure they're not in my presence. I don't want to deal with them. Or even if it's you not saying anything to nobody, but you just know like, okay, if so-and-so is there, I'm going to skip that function or whatever the case is. After I realized that I didn't have to be around somebody just because they were my family, even though they abused me. Once I realized that, I was so hard on myself. Like I beat myself up. Like, why did I make it okay for this person to be around when it's not, it mentally is messing me up. Emotionally is messing me up. And of course I had conversations with my best friend about the situation. And it was like, I mean, you have to go through that moment and time. You have to go through that so you can learn from it. And that's how I learned that if somebody has done anything to me that I do not like, I'll forgive you, but I don't have to communicate with you. I don't have to put myself in compromising situations mentally, or put myself in I don't have to deal with somebody just because I forgave them. Forgiveness doesn't mean to communicate. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to screw yourself mentally and emotionally to satisfy other people. In my case, I didn't want to deal with, I didn't want to start trouble in my head. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just made it normal. I made it okay because I acted like it was okay. And now I realize it wasn't okay. I don't blame anyone. I don't even blame myself because I was naive to it all. I thought it was okay. Well, I never thought about it like that. Like forgiving somebody that has hurt you in such a way is already hard enough to do. And then being around that person is even harder. And I blame myself. I blame myself. But now, as I'm healing, I had to learn from that. For whatever reason, the term, like, everything happens for a reason and blah, blah, blah. I guess I have to learn that for a reason. But my message to anyone that has been abused in any way, but mainly people that have dealt with incest, sexual abuse, you don't have, especially someone that has dealt with incest, sexual abuse, you don't have to be around someone just because you forgive them. I don't know why I did that. I really thought that I was healed once I forgave my uncle. I thought I was healed, and I guess I didn't realize how much healing takes, and I didn't realize how hard it is to actually dig deep in the situation. Like, when you're sexually abused and the aftermath of it all is unbearable, unspeakable, and you become this broken person and you just don't know how to cope, you don't know how to deal with things. But you realize that, like, as you're healing and as you're doing things, you're learning from everything that you've done and that you're doing. So I know that I learned a lot in that time frame, like, not while I was going through it, but as I look back over my life and I look back over the situation, I realized that I've learned a lot. And it's hard. And I know that I'll be maybe judged or looked at a certain way because of this. And to be honest with you, I really don't care. I've judged myself about the situation. I blame myself about the situation, about being around him. I was hard on myself once I realized that I didn't have to do that to myself. So it's okay. Like, even if you're around somebody that has hurt you and you're wondering why mentally things are just like all over the place in your head, maybe that's why. And you have to step back and observe the situation and deal with it from another standpoint. This is hard to talk about, and I've said all I needed to say, but it's still hard. And even though like I don't care about the judgment, I'm still scared to post this video. But I know that it's needed for the survivors, for people that have been through anything and they have forgiven or are trying to forgive somebody. You don't have to be around that person just because you forgive them. You can keep your distance. That term, that's your family. Just because somebody is your blood doesn't necessarily mean you have to deal with them. In my opinion, that's what I do. Just because somebody's my family, I don't have to put myself in situations where I know that my energy is being drained. I'm mentally not there. I'm wondering why, like, my anxiety is going crazy and you dealing with so many things in your head. And just because you put on a happy face does not mean that you're happy, that you're okay. I know I'm rambling, but I just want this point to be crossed. Like, forgiveness doesn't mean you have to communicate. You don't have to deal with people just because they have the same blood running through their veins. Family doesn't mean you have to deal with anyone that has hurt you. That's the whole point of this. Forgiveness is one thing, but communicating is a whole nother story, and you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that to yourself. Learn from me. Learn from me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe.